Konnichiwa, minasan. Today is the 1-year anniversary of my Japanese studies, and you might be wondering what were the biggest challenges and what was my routine and mindset through all of this. Who am I kidding? Y'all just want to know how good my Japanese is, so let's get right into it. First of all, how well did I actually do? If you ask me, out of 365 days, I did not study on 92 of them, which makes me wonder if this still counts as a 1-year anniversary. But vocabulary is just one part of my studies. I actually focused more on immersion as time went by. But let's just say, roughly speaking, on the days where I didn't study any vocabulary, I also didn't do any immersion. It all equals to 1/4 of a year where I did not study. At least I completed it, right? This brings me to my second point, which is actually quitting. My motivation took a big plunge after a series of unfortunate events happened. To name one of the few, the COVID restrictions that did not allow me to go to Japan made it really hard for me to stay on track, because the goal of using my Japanese and having to be able to speak it was even further away this time. And you might think, oh, you know, that's not such a big deal. Well, I wanted to go to Japan for such a long time, even before I liked anime or even had the thought of studying Japanese. So since going to Japan wasn't an option anymore, I didn't feel like I needed to rush my studies. Which in hindsight, I was actually not really rushing it, because I created a routine that was fairly doable in the first place, but let's just forget about that. Because I can already see you looking at the screen like, just show me your Japanese skills already. I will, okay? Jokes aside, it will probably be a little bit underwhelming since I'm still not able to speak or read very well. But let me just give you a little taste of how my Japanese sounds like. まず、話しましょう。僕は今1年間日本語勉強しましたけど、1年じゃなかった。日本語まだ下手です。でも来年的にはもっと頑張ります。Oh, and I actually used some Google Translate to make sure what I said is correctly, because I wasn't sure. And frankly speaking, I'm still not sure if what I said was correct. But I think it wouldn't be fair to use this as an accurate representation of my speaking skills, because when I make videos, I oftentimes write a script to have a little guidance on what I want to say. So it would be much better if I used some real-life examples where I couldn't prepare myself for what I had to say. I gathered some footage of VR chat where I tried to communicate with Japanese people, so you can get a taste of how my Japanese in a real-life setting would actually sound like.
すごいすごい。わあ、偉い偉い。
Meet Hamu-chan, a 21-year-old girl from Japan who just happened to be there on the day where I started recording. She has an insanely cute voice, which made it even harder for me to speak in Japanese as I was fangirling over her.
ちょっと待って。その音楽が名前は何？
青函飛行っていう。
After embarrassing myself pretty hard, I asked her to sing another song, and I was impressed, to say the least.
残酷な天使の手で少年よしわりなれ
I'm sorry, I'm not gonna risk a copyright strike here.
今僕の心弱いよ。
いいね。天国。いいね。
お。
魚魚魚魚を食べると頭頭頭頭おなくなる Don't wonder what the fuck I just said. This is just a certified hood classic. でもお姉さん声がわあ綺麗綺麗
あらあらどうしたの
Yeah, you can kinda tell I was excited about that one. 何これそのアバター怖い怖いよ
かわいい、キュート。
はい可愛くないよ
小林アイスクリーム食べたい。
すっげえ似てる、やべえ。なんでもできるやん。
性格
そうそう
どこ日本人ですか
日本人です。ジャパニーズです。
I wanted to say 日本語上手でもすいませんバカです
当たり前ないよ
大丈夫だよ
そうだねAfter you heard me speak, you're probably thinking, well, that was a waste of time. Can you imagine what I feel like after studying for 1 year? But there's also a good reason why my speaking is not that good. I actively tried not to engage in speaking in the first year because I didn't want to commit too many mistakes and then get them cemented into my brain. Inevitably, I will make a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes while speaking after 1 year because it's my first time doing it. I have somewhat of an intuition for the language because I'm familiar with it, so I wouldn't do those very blatant mistakes. But if I spoke from day one on, I would get used to a speech pattern that maybe sounded very unnatural, and then it's very hard to change it back. For example, like pottery. If you're shaping the clay while it's still wet, you'll be able to make a vase and change the shape and everything. But after it dries, you cannot change the form anymore, or it would just be very hard. So my plan moving forward is trying to do more output practice and reading while also looking up grammar rules more. And I already have some other video ideas scheduled, so I'm looking forward to that as well. Either way, I'm wishing you a nice day. Mata ne!